Welcome to Belmont Banter, the official podcast of Whitstable Town FC. Every week we chat to ex-players, supporters and invited guests here on Belmont Banter.
Welcome to the official podcast of Whitstable Town FC.
Whitstable Town Football Club's main sponsor is Fibertech UK Limited.
Hello again everyone and welcome to Belmont Banter, and this week's guest is Keith Mahone. Hi Keith, mate, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Tony. How are you yourself?
Yeah, really good. Yes, I am. We're doing okay. I'm pleased about it. How about this COVID situation? How are you? Working from home?
Yeah, a lot, to be honest with you. It's it's something that I'm lucky enough I can do via technology these days. I've had to go into a few offices, maybe once a month and into mine, but yeah, it's a bit of a drag down, I suppose. I think, I'm a little bit lucky, but it does get your morale down. So the people that are less fortunate, I can see where they're going through mental health-wise, but you just want to see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and at the moment it seems like the tunnel's getting darker. So
very true. Right, let's start where we finish, but I'm not going to carry on with that. We're going to go right back to the beginning. So at the moment you're not in management, but how did you get involved in football? That's the key to me. Was it a childhood love? Start at the beginning.
When I was a kid, I think when I first was able to walk, I kicked a ball about, and I just had this passion for football. I started at the age of, I think, under sixes. I joined a team called St Thomas More, which was quite local here, which had a very, very good reputation. I think now non-existent, but going back years, were one of the top sides in London, and I was lucky to play for them until the age of about 11, 12, where I moved house and ended up, funny enough, joining Phoenix Sports Club as a kid. But yeah, I was just a football mad nut. Every minute of the day, I went home from school, grabbed my ball, jumped over the park with my friends and played until it got dark every single night, which obviously now, kids can't really do because of obviously things have changed. But it was just something that was in my blood, and that obviously has never left me.
What about when you started, I'm not going to use the word proper football, because if you like the jumpers for goalposts, it's still proper football. So when did you start, sort of like at 12, 14, when did you start playing then?
Well, going back all the years as well, when I just said about Thomas More, there was only 11-a-side football then. So, it's not like now you've got the mini soccer and things like that. So, like I said, I played, I would say, at good standards when I was about 7 or 8 for Thomas More. So we was in all the national cups, etc. But we was in such a good side, and some of the teams weren't established, and sometimes you didn't get much of a kick or a ball. But I suppose when we went to secondary school was when we started playing proper football. And like I said, I was at Phoenix Sports Club. We was in a team that won the League Cup and sort of then Ken Cup, the London Cup, sort of 5 years on the spin. And it was when then I sort of started going to a little bit then to pro clubs. I was at Cheltenham for a little while, etc. And then obviously I was quite small for my age, to be honest. I was one of them ones where they were looking at maybe big and more powerful players, but I was still playing a decent level of football, and obviously I think my passion and that got me through, and my ability. I was fairly quick and quite skillful. I'd maybe most probably fit into today's football a little bit more than what it was then, but I did play quite a good level of football, even though I can just about remember. But I obviously played Kent Youth as well, when it was, I would say, proper Kent Youth football then, when you only had senior sides. I was lucky enough to get picked up while I was still at Cheltenham and still at school. My old coach asked me to go down and play for what was Danson then.
Yep.
As a 16-year-old, I knew him through Wimbledon as well. We coached over there. So I sort of played for Danson at 16-year-old in then what was a very, very strong Kent League, going back, we're talking 26, 27 years ago. So, your top sides then were Hive, Sitting Ball, etc. And, it was a really high standard. So it gave me the chance to play men's football at a very young age. At the time where I said, Cheltenham let me do that. But I did pick up the odd 1 or 2 injuries and they weren't too happy. But in the end, I got involved more in the social side and stepped away from that level of football. But I was lucky enough then to get picked up by Welling United, obviously being local, and asked to go over there. But yeah, I played at that level at Corinthians, Fisher, and then obviously ended up back with Danson Furnace at the time. which basically was nearly my last year when we won the league with Alan Sutherland and Steve Brown, which we ended up grand sharing. But then I got myself quite a bad injury playing in a charity game, and all that fell down. So then I decided that, you know, what was I going to do next? And football was my only love at the time. And like I said, I was about 20, 21 years old, and I said I'd had a decent career. I've named some clubs that we could go through quite a lot. And then I decided to do my coaching badge, and at the time it was the FA prelim badge.
Yep. And
I was mostly the youngest one on the course, and I remember going to do it with Dave Sexton's lad, and I managed to be able to do it as well with my injury I've sustained, and I passed that. There was only about 3 or 4 of us managed to pass that, and then obviously the rest was sort of history. I started coaching a young under 13 side, which then become VCDs under 16s and under 18s, and we were very successful there. I think we won the treble twice. From obviously you had 2 years stint at the under 18s, and then obviously moved up with Martin Full to do the reserves, where we were very successful there, and help out with the first team. And then obviously I was still in the mid to late 20s, and Terry Hill, who was the chairman of Thamesmead Town, well, he's the manager at the time, to be fair, sort of I got on really well with, and he asked me to would I be interested in coming over in the first team role at Thamesmead. And it was about the time God rest Martin, I could never see myself taking over from Martin at BCD. He taught me quite a lot, to be fair, and some good and very bad things. I think everyone knew Martin Cavick. But it got me on the circuit, and I used to go and follow VCD and help him out on a Saturday as well. So I just thought my time was right, and I went over there with Terry, with Paul Blade, to become managers over there. And within the first year or so, we built up a very strong side. And obviously yourself, Whitstable. I think Mark Seegers has just took over there as well. Yeah. He's become a very good friend of mine. And it was only in the first year that Paul decided that he didn't want to be the manager and like with himself, and stood aside. And I got the right bug for it then, and I was at games every night of the week, and basically things at Thamesmead weren't great, and I ended up sort of taking over the whole club in one way, to be fair. But the football side of it was going from strength to strength, and we got ourselves, obviously, we followed in your footsteps the year after, and got promoted. But we won the League Cup the year that you got promoted. I remember beating Whitstable in the final, and then then the club took off, and I was fortunate enough to be involved in it and spearhead it through from the Kent League into what was a miracle for Thamesmead in the Ryman Prem. We won the playoffs, and the rest is then history. And many years later, here I am.
Well, I want to take that back a little bit, because I'm talking about your Thamesmead days. First of all, can you keep talking about Danson? Was that Danson Sports? Is that what they were called?
Yeah, it was Danson Sports, and then obviously they got taken over by Furnace. Then we merged from Furnace to Danson Furnace, and then obviously they finished up at Green Court Road, the old Elmer Swanley ground.
All right. Yeah, I want to talk about the Thamesmead days, because for me that was the time that I very first came into contact with you. The last bit of it, I mean, obviously things were going on behind the scenes which nobody knows about. I mean, you're at liberty to say what you like. I could never believe that wonderful new stand had just been built, and then things seemed to fall apart.
Yeah, they sort of hoodwinked us a bit, Tony. I took over the running of the whole club before, and obviously we had previous chairmen had stepped away, and Terry Hill was sort of the figurehead chairman, and I was sort of financially helping the club out. I've met a great family there with Terry, Albert Pantin, Peter Tierney, who's obviously now left us, unfortunately, and Alan Martin, and a few, name a few others. And we had a great family, and we was always struggling because the building was run down, and it was owned by what was like the local council called Thamesmead Trust. Yep. And a fella come in and promised us that he would help out the club and build us this brand new sports hub, and the club could go on further. Like I said, we was doing so well in the Ryman. It was north then, and we was towards the top in the playoffs, and looking, like our next push would be that, but financially we couldn't do it. And he said our crowds would go up, great facilities, and I spent every day of my life there, sort of signing the building, going to European Parliament to do speeches to get funding. And it's like I said, it took over my own personal life as well, and I was doing more of that than even more than managing. basically what the long and short of the story was that they asked us to surrender the lease to sign a new lease because they couldn't build it because we had a 99-year lease.
Yep.
Which we did, and we trusted them. And as soon as we did that, then it all come crashing down. In the end, they basically didn't offer us a lease. They wanted to offer us what they call not even a tenant agreement, but an agreement. And then it was, well, instead of 25 years, it's 5 years. And then they wanted to charge us rent. And in the end, it was coming to a stage where they wanted to charge us nearly, including training, £50,000 a year just to play there. And it got too much for myself, and it got too much for the club in the end as well, and obviously we couldn't afford that.
Well, what a shame, because, I mean, every time we used to, obviously we came to your ground, it was one of the grounds that I never wanted to miss, because I always liked the atmosphere in there, and the reason being that the club itself, it was always buzzing, and it was a mystery that you never ever got the buzzing atmosphere that was in the bar out onto the pitch. I mean, I understand a lot of it was families, I get that, because there was always a load of kids about, mums and everything, which I thought was brilliant, but it was always a nice place to come to.
Yeah, it was a community club, and that's why all the parents and that were there. That they didn't have much ambition for the first team, but we was always a club that maybe I pushed the first team on quicker than what it was. I think, if you ask Albert and Peter, who founded the club, going back, it's mostly 60 years now, but it was always brought up through a youth ranks, and I just took it on that extra level, even though I was massively involved in the youth section still, and brought so many youth players through to the first team. But the club just progressed so rapidly that maybe it didn't spill on with our crowds, but it's quite a deprived place, Thamesmead, as an actual area itself, and the football club was like its hub where everyone could go to, and as I said, we was like a family there. I've never experienced anything like it at another club, and doubt I ever will. And it was just mostly my saddest day in football ever when I decided to walk away. But for my own health, I think I had to, because I think I would have had a breakdown staying there.
Well, blimey, it sounds like financially it must have been like a millstone around your neck.
Huge. I run my own company at the time, which people know anyway, but we didn't have a big wage bill, I won't lie. Our wage bill was peanuts to what anything in the Ryman League was now. But we got promoted due to the togetherness of the side we had, and players knew that what I was doing was, they knew I didn't have massive pockets with bundles of money coming out of it, but they knew that I was 100% committed, and they loved that atmosphere that we built in the club, and that's why we managed to get the players that we did. But when we got to even the Ryman North was a massive step for the club, and we really couldn't afford to be there. But when we got in the Ryman Premier, it was ridiculous, and we just enjoyed it. We all were laughing every time we played, to be honest, that we shouldn't even be in that league for the time. But just for a club itself, with the committee we had and such great people, they deserved to be there. And I think that there wouldn't have been another committee that I've definitely seen in football that was as good as them for getting us there. They were so welcoming, so friendly. Everywhere we went, everyone liked them. And as I said, even as a manager, when we used to lose, they used to come up to me and shake my hand and say thank you. And it was a major part of my life, one that even if I finish playing football now, that I'd never forget.
Well, can I pay you personally a massive compliment? Because when we got promoted, it wasn't actually the day we got promoted. We came up to your place, and your lads formed a guard of honour for us to walk on the pitch. Pretty was the captain that day. He led the boys out. I've got some pictures of it as well. That was a really, really emotional moment for us. It was such a lovely gesture. Thank you for that. It was lovely.
Yeah, I remember that. Listen, me and Mark Seegers go back a long time, and I know, to be fair, we've not kept in contact as much, obviously, for the last year or so. We do talk via social media, but we've become very, very close, and we bounced off each other a lot. We've come even closer when he had to step down at Whitstable. But I remember I actually come to your, I'd say, promotion drinks as well. I met everybody, and he invited me to that. And when we won the league the week after, he was the year after, he was just as gracious. But I always had quite a big ball, and still have. And obviously yourself, Tony, and Joe, that I always got on well with there, and obviously Mark Laney and it was Halsey at the time as well. We were all quite close to me, so I thought your club was run really, really well in the right way, and what I wanted Thamesmead to be like as well. And I thought we were very similar in a way, apart from obviously you was a massive town and had a bigger support. But I thought what we did off the pitch, we tried to do in the right way. And you know, I wouldn't say I wouldn't have done that to any club, but obviously Whitstable, like I said, I thought thoroughly deserved it. They were the best side over the last few years, and like I said, most of you have become friends with me, so that's why we did that. It was nothing, you know.
Football's a strange thing, isn't it, Keith? Because you can be really nasty to each other on the pitch, and as long as that at the back of your mind is like you're a good guy at the bottom of it all, but you can go into the tackle as hard as you like, and I could do the same to you, and we'll go and have a drink afterwards. And you'll say something to me. I mean, you might say to me, Rousey, you went a bit bloody hard then. And I'll say to you, what are you talking about, Keith? I could have gone in harder than that.
Yeah, you agree. I think as I was younger, and again, I hope he won't mind me saying this, he's up in the sky, but when I was around Martin a bit, I was a bit more aggressive, but I was a younger manager, and you do that. I think as with time, you sort of, you know, your experience and that settles down, and you don't just think about yourself. When you're on that touchline, obviously, you know, you get caught in your way, but like I said, I've always shown a lot of managers a lot of respect, and you do sort of have the argument. I think there's only ever one manager, maybe at Whitstable, that I didn't really quite get on with, and I don't think that's much of a, you know, surprise who it was. But but even in the background, after at the end of the game, it's not personal.
No.
And I think if anyone's never took it personal towards me, then it'll be different. But and once or twice you look over and you think really. But I think also, Tony, as you go up the leagues, that goes, because you've got more experience, better quality managers, and you don't get too many massive arguments involved, you know, and I just think that's just the way that you are around your club as well.
It is, definitely. Keith, you could answer me this question. I mean, I've been involved when Mark was there. Obviously, I was heavily involved with Mark. But your match day on a Saturday, for instance, what sort of time? If it was an away fixture, what sort of time did it start in the morning? You're smiling because you spent a lot of time doing this.
I do. Listen.
All right, you're away to Hastings. Okay, you're away to Hastings. How does it start?
Away to Hastings, I would be up at about 8 o'clock in the morning, ready, getting myself prepared, dressed, breakfast or whatever, mind on the game. I would be down at the ground at normally about 10 o'clock. That's my home ground, getting all our stuff ready, the kit, etc. We never had a kit man at the time, so I'd load everything in. Most would leave at 11 with my assistant manager, or normally Steve Waite would come with me. I'd be down the ground at 11:30, 12 o'clock. If it's Hastings, it might be 12, tops, maybe even earlier. We'd get the kit out, and I'd sit there, going through my team, thinking what I'm going to say, looking at anything I need to about the opponents, and structuring. Obviously, team would turn up at 1:15. Obviously, I would tell my subs and that if they're playing or not. I'd do that every single week, no matter what. Go in, team talk, obviously game, come out. If we win, all be happy. Clear up. I always clear the changing rooms up, no matter what club we're in. We would sweep the changing rooms out myself, and normally Steve Waite would leave it as we found it. A couple of beers in the bar, drive back to the club. I would leave your car and get home if you win at about 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Happy days. You miss it, don't you?
Every day. I'm a football person, and unless I'm at a club that I'm not happy with, which I've only been at 2 clubs in my whole life. It's only over the 20 odd years managing. So obviously VCD tempts me back to VCD again. So I would say I'm a very loyal person. I'm a hard working person. And I buy into that club ethos, and I give everything I have to that club.
Too personal. And if I hit a raw nerve, just say so. You've just stepped out of management. Was there a reason for that?
Not that I know about. This is the thing, and I'm always honest, Tony. I'll be black and white. No, when I was just going from when the season stopped last year, we was just outside the playoffs. I believe we was hitting some really good form. We just beat Ashford 4-1 at home. Done everything that the club asked me to do, bring youngsters in. Obviously, we had Charlie McDonald up front, but we didn't have a humongous wage bill, which anyone might have thought. I thought it was competitive for what we had, and the club and the chairman always backed us, and I'd never put that. And obviously, going into the new season, I was signing players. I had the team all sorted, and then I just, as I said, I didn't even get a phone call. I spoke to the secretary, and he said to me, "Hasn't the chairman spoke to me?" I said, "No." And they had a meeting the night before, and decided he decided they wanted a change, and didn't even let me know. So it was a bit of a pill to taste, and still now the thing would say that they wanted a change, and that was it. So there was no reason why. You know, and it still shocked me now. There was no things I had to be in the playoffs. We had to be here. It was nothing. You know, there was a couple of times in the year, over my 5-6 years there, that I was told just to keep the club up in the league, because obviously they were spending money on the clubhouse and that, which I expected. It was only the 2 years we sort of had a go, and we had a team. I believe now, if we'd have still kept that side plus one or two that I already agreed to sign, would have been challenging for the league, but it didn't happen. You know, I think if the club would have brought me in personally and said thanks for everything you've done, but we want to change, and shook my hand, I would have wished them all the best and walked away. But it was the only time in my whole football career left with a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, and it's something that I would unfortunately, out of 15, 16 years I've been at the club over the two spells, that I will never walk back in there again.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, isn't it? You know, we were just eulogising how lovely and friendly football clubs are, but there is that other side of it that rears its head. We've experienced it as well. You know, we've had our problems down there with the previous chairman, who shall remain nameless. But yeah, it's never easy, is it? So
no, and I said, Tony, I'm not here to badmouth the chairman. I said we were friends for over 20 years. It was just the way it was done. Should have been done better. But on a football thing, like I said, you can win the league and get the sack. That is it. And the club itself now has had a very good start. I wish, you know, Nick Davis played for me. I brought him to VCD as a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
There's about 8 players in that squad that have played for me over the years. So, you know, they've got some good people around. I wish them the best, but obviously, you know, just deep down in the back of your heart, it just leaves a bit of field to swallow. But as you know, nothing really surprises me in football, and I've just got to look for my new chap. So hopefully it'll be a blessing in disguise.
You're not stepping away from football. You're just having a break, effectively, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's not through choice. You know, I've had a break since March. I've been watching games already this year. I've watched quite a lot in our league. You know, I've been down to Cray Valley. I've been down to Seven Oaks and watched. You know, I know the managers there, and they know I'm not after their job. So that's the hard thing. You know, you turn up at a ground, people think that I'm there for that reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, Phoenix are all very, very good friends of mine. Both my boys play in the youth team, so I actually manage now one of the youth sides for them. So I watch them a lot. Again, I've got no interest in taking over at Phoenix. I will never ever go and manage a club there where my friends are again. And I've got a hell of a lot of friends at Phoenix. They're a big family club. Remind me of quite a lot of Thamesmead as well. And Alan Martin and Albert Panton are both there as well on the committee. So it's good to see. But I'm just, you know, watching games and waiting to find the right job, Tony. I don't want something that, you know, just because it's football, I'm going to take over. That's not me. I think I've got a lot to offer. I've got a lot of experience and normally quite a successful side.
So if, given where do you actually live in the Thamesmead area?
No, I live in Bexley.
Oh, right, okay. Area. So if something came up the other side of the river, then you wouldn't be averse to that, would you?
I'd travel. To be fair, Tony, I prefer to go and travel to start somewhere new that someone didn't know me. I'd go across the water. I'd go down to the deepest depths of Kent, or even into Sussex. As long as I can get that buzz and something that I can really get my teeth into it and think, yeah, that's for me. And the club's set up right, and I think I can work with with the club really well. I would consider anything. Obviously, it's got to be the right level for me though, and I don't mean that big-headedness, but you know, I've been managing 20 odd years. I've already had a few Kent sides. Are you interested in current help? And unfortunately, I've been there, seen that, and done that. And I want challenges to go and manage now as high as I can. I've been loyal to the 2 clubs I have, and I know, like most managers, especially while I was at Thamesmead, I got offered to go and manage at quite a high level, and they were my family, and I turned them down and put the club first. But I need now to maybe sort of get a fresh bit of blood in myself and look to try and sort of do the best I can for myself.
Well, this enforced lockdown and your break as well might be a blessing in disguise then, because it gives you a time to sort of step back and, as you say, focus, go and have a look at a few clubs. Because when you're actually the manager on the side, you can't really focus on the opposition, can you? You're only worried about what your team are doing to stop the opposition.
Yeah, you are. To be fair, everyone that knows me knows I go and watch games every day of the week. Well, especially when I was a manager, I would, you know, there was one Monday I'd be there, Tuesday I'd be there, Wednesday, and that was one good thing. My knowledge, obviously, of the leagues is pretty good. And you know, as you know, I do a show myself on the league, and it's I'm one of these people that take quite a lot of information in. I'm a bit like a sponge, and you know, I know most of the players at different levels and also different areas. So, which is also a plus for me. But yeah, when you're managing, you know, you're trying to sort of juggle sort of 5 things at once. So now, when you say I've had my rest, the side of it is for me now is sort of, you know, is to get back in, because I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs, thinking that watching games is great, but also you feel the odd cog in the wheel, if that makes sense, when you're at the ground, and everyone's asking you the same questions. You know, why did you, well, what happened at your old club, etc. And it's strange, and you just want to, you know, hopefully someone thinks, right, or you've built up a good enough reputation over the 20 odd years that someone will go, look, if a job comes, we're interested. But also the timing of me leaving VCD was very poor as well. You know, it was 3 months after the season had finished. Everyone had already made their managerial change if they wanted to make one. So obviously, you know, there was no jobs about, and there still isn't now. And I don't wish any manager to get the sack either. So, no. You know, I wouldn't want what happened to me happen to anyone else. But it's going to take another month or so for clubs or managers to decide that they're not the right fit together.
Okay, well, look, I knew that you did this little show. Would you like to give a shout out for it? Because then you can talk about what you've done here with us on Belmont Banter.
Yeah, it's obviously the D&K Repost show, which is obviously we used to have when it was the Ryman League show, and it's obviously over a podcast, or we do it live on Facebook, YouTube now, and Twitter, and it covers basically all 3 of the Isthmian League, plus a little bit else. We've been doing it, I think, 6 years now. You know, we get over 4,000 people watching. A couple of thousand people watch live again on Monday. You know, and we're just talking about really everybody's club. We get managers, chairman, and we're giving them clubs there half an hour to speak about them, and we put them in the sort of limelight for a bit, supporters, and we just try and give honest opinions. You know, my opinion's not always right, even though people watch it might think it is, or think I think it is. But it's just something that I'm really interested in as well. That Dave that does it with us, he's absolutely brilliant. You know, he's great set up, and yeah, it's just something that keeps me involved and keeps me knowledge in the game.
How do you do it? Do you do it over like this, over Zoom or a link, or how do you do it?
Before lockdown, we would do it over. We started off doing it in a studio. It was actually started for Hawks Radio, which was Harlow Radio, and it would go out live on that and then stream. So we used to do it in a studio, and then obviously, you know, Hawks Radio things went pear-shaped, and then we started doing it at Avely Football Club, and then, you know, trying to set up some sort of studio. But in lockdown, where you had to try and keep some sort of social distance, we couldn't do it. So now we're doing it through, obviously, something similar to this, or it'd be Skype, or we just started up a new software, which was Ecamm last week, which we had a few teething problems, so people don't have to travel. But, you know, we used to go into clubs and do, you know, I commentate on games as well for Harlow sometimes, or we commentate on their game for them. So, yeah, whichever way. But, you know, we do get quite a large following now, and a lot of managers ring me up and either have a go at me or agree. But it's something that they enjoy, I think.
Well, I'll put a link on our, when I send it out, I'll put a link on our show, so, you know, why not? And I'll tell you what, I'll have a word with our chairman and see if he wants to have a chat with you, because he's a new guy. I mean, he started off he was chairman of the youth section. When Joe stepped down, they had a long chat and lots of discussion behind the scenes. And Steve Clayton, that's the guy's name, he's a really forward-thinking bloke. He really is. I'm sure you'd like him anyway. He's a really
get him on. We've had Lloyd on. Lloyd was on just after lockdown, I think. You know, and I've got a lot of time for Lloyd as well. You know, he's a lovely man and a good, decent manager. So, and as you said, you know, I've got a lot of time for Whitstable as a club. So, you know, I've got great support, and hopefully, you know, it put, you know, Whitstable give them their spiel, and it would be nice to hear from the new chairman.
That'd be brilliant. Well, I think we better wrap it up there, Keith, because you can talk for England, mate. I love this.
There you go. I'm used to it, mate. That's why I've got Mankills to do, haven't I? So.
No, not at the moment. No, I know what it's like. Okay, well, I'll wrap it up here. So, from all of us here at Belmont Banter and Keith Mahone, which is, it's been a great chat, Keith. I've really, really enjoyed it. We must do this again. So, if your circumstances change and you haven't got time to do your show, you can always talk to me.
Of course I will. No problem.
Thanks, Keith, very much. Cheers, buddy.
Whitstable Town Football Club's main sponsor is Fibertech UK Limited. They are providers of optical fibre services to the telecoms industry, specialising in optical fibre provision, local and long haul. We offer a full turnkey solution to our clients throughout London and the south of England. Contact us through the website for more details.
Your host, Tony Rouse, every week on Belmont Banter for news about local football in Kent and beyond.
I do hope that you've enjoyed today's episode of Belmont Banter. Don't forget there's a new episode out every week which comes out on a Sunday night, early Monday morning. And you can leave your suggestions for a guest to invite at the end. And leave a like and don't forget to pass it on to all your mates. Cheers!